Hi everyone, good morning from Singapore. I am Zing from SG Innovate. We are a government-owned organization that invests in and helps build deep tech startups that leverage science and technology to make life better for all. A big part of our work is to build a global community of leaders and doers who are driving deep tech innovations such as AI, medtech, quantum tech in our economy and society. So in today's webinar, we are very happy to have Professor David D. Kramer, founder and director of Center on AI Technology for Humankind and the Provost Chair at NUS Business School. He is also an accomplished author who recently released Leadership by Algorithm, Who Leads and Who Follows in the AI Era. He will be discussing the key areas where algorithms will collide with human skills and assess the likely outcomes. So without further ado, let me pass over the time to Professor David to start the session. David, please.
Thank you, Ziying, and welcome everybody. Let me share the screen. Okay, so thank you for inviting me to give a little bit more of an overview on what I've been working on in the last few years when it comes down to understanding the introduction of algorithms, artificial enabled technologies and platforms in the business context. I think you've all heard that businesses are keen to bring in AI as well, although they are not quite sure always how to do this, and I will come back to this later. But I want to start this presentation with the following idea. Just imagine that today, all business schools in the world have mentioned that there will be no leadership courses anymore. So we won't teach leadership to anyone anymore. I can imagine that some of you will be looking at and saying like, oh, what's happening there? Why would that be the case? Because isn't it the case that leadership courses are so central to most of the modules that we see? And that's true. About 80% of all the lectures that we see at business schools have a word of leadership, leading, being the leader in it, in the title of its modules. What we also see is that most business schools, they train their people, and that's their mission, to be responsible leaders. So the leaders of the future. So it's very, very essential for business schools to focus on leadership. So why would we close school to say so? Why would we say, now school doesn't work anymore, it's closed? Business school wouldn't do this.
Sorry, David, do you mind putting your screen onto full screen? Currently, we
Okay,
can just see the settings. Sorry about that.
Okay. So business school is closed. Why would we do this? Well, the reason why is a new hero has arrived in our society. And that hero we call artificial intelligence. I don't think it has escaped anyone's attention that for the last decade or so, gurus are pushing each other aside just to make the message clear. Everything's going to change, especially with COVID-19 now. We also see these trends are going to be accelerated. I don't think we're going to have a new normal. I just think that all the trends we've been seeing in terms of technology will be accelerated more now, and that's what we'll be confronted with. So why actually invest then in our people to be leaders? Because AI seems to be able to do many, many things that humans can do as well. So just to give a brief definition of AI, the way I look at it, very simple, so that we can work with it, is that AI, in my view, is machines acting in ways that seems intelligent. And intelligence is a broad concept, but it appears to be intelligent, can do things that humans do, but in certain tasks even better than we do. And there are many benefits to it. And the main benefit, of course, is the economics benefit. PwC calculated that by 2030, the global economy should benefit by approximately 15.7 trillion US dollars. And across surveys worldwide, we see that on average, about 70 to 75% of leaders indicate that AI, robots, automation are the main investment areas.
Hi, David. Hi, this is Tuan from SG Innovate here. We can actually still see your Zoom setting box on the screen. Okay. Would you try to, close and...
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Everything, okay. So what we see is that AI is indeed the new hero. It's going to change everything because we'll have to invest in it. In my own center, we saw that when we did a survey in the Asia region, that about 96% of companies already adopted AI in one way or another. But that's adoption. So employment itself is a much bigger issue because it means that we have to make a business case about how are we going to use AI, for what reason, how does it relate to strategy, and that's a much more complicated issue. But when we look at the interest in AI and the willingness to adopt, it's definitely there. It's definitely happening. So it actually has related to the following question that what we see is that people are starting to wonder, isn't AI going to take my job? But also, are they going to start running our organizations? Because we see that many of them are moving into decision-making roles even. AI is not only a tool today, AI is also an advisor. He's even a co-worker. He's putting advice out there that we use in our decisions. And I think this guy here, and most of you will probably know him, Lee Sedol, the South Korean world champion in the Chinese board game Go, he was defeated by AI in 2016. And that was actually expected to be impossible because it's such a complicated board game, but it did. AI beat the world champion. And it actually went so far that he is a representation, in my view, that humans may submit to machine at one point, because at the end of 2019, he retired from the game, saying, this is the end for humans. AI will take over. So if a world champion says it, it created a lot of buzz there. There's also several authors, books being published, where we see that authority, as they say, is going to be increasingly expressed in an algorithmic way. So for example, the Black Box Society, the book by Frank Pascal, he makes that claim very strong. Authority is going to be algorithmic. So what does that mean for our businesses? So I just want to show you a slide now, how innovation usually works when we start using innovation and how it transfers the way we run our organization. So if it's true that we're going to be submitting more and more to machine, our dependence increases on AI, our mindsets will change. What we'll see is that the mindsets, meaning our decision makers, we will comply with the fact that it's becoming more and more automated. We'll see, like, first of all, we use the innovation and we replicate. So robots, algorithms enter in the decision-making phase. We replicate humans, jobs are disappearing. Then the next phase is usually we scale up. So it becomes in every layer of the whole organization. And once that has become an issue, then there's a new system. And in this case, it may be, if we have algorithmic decision-making across every layer, it may be this, yes, AI may become our new boss. And if AI becomes our new boss, there'll be new norms of working. There'll be new expectations. There'll be a different mindset of how we make decisions, for what reason, and what will be the role of humans. So this would be a trajectory that could happen when we submit. So this is something that made me think a lot in the last few years, and I decided to write a book on it called Leadership by Algorithm: Who Leads and Who Follows in the AI Era. So I also have my own story, of course, in this book. It's about 25 years ago, when I was a very young scholar still. I was confronted with several people at a big business event, and they were always expressing how important it was to push the limits, to be successful. So I was listening in awe, and at one point I asked the question and said, like, but if you keep pushing the limits, I mean, at one point it may go wrong. And they said, no, science and technology will always be there. I have complete faith in this. So I started thinking, and when I was writing this book, it came back to me, and I thought, like, oh, well, actually these guys, they were very dependent on technology. They were willing to be dependent on technology in order to be successful themselves. But they still thought they were in charge. But of course, we have this kind of technology now that you can become dependent on it. And maybe today, our senior leaders, our executives are not that confident anymore. And I see this in my own classrooms as well.